Hey everyone, happy Chinese New Year. I'm Flo, Dude is behind the camera, and we're all about making life simple, ordinary, and joyful. And that always includes food. Today, we're making vegetable dumplings for Chinese New Year. Dumplings are a symbol of wealth and prosperity because they look like the little silver or gold ingots. What I read was that families reunite for Chinese New Year, and on New Year's Eve, they will get together and make dumplings and then eat them at midnight to bring in the new year. Did you know that, dude?
I didn't know that, so thanks for the knowledge drop.
If you know my channel, you'll know that I mostly cook meat because we are huge carnivores. But this is a vegetable dumpling, and it will go well with all the other meats that we will be having with dinner. My mom says that usually at a family feast, there are 8 different dishes that are served because 8 is a lucky number. I am contributing vegetable dumplings, and we're gonna start with grating an ounce of ginger. And you can leave the skin on if you like, but if you do, just make sure that you scrub it really, really well. And I am going to grate it and set it aside. The skin has some, I guess, healthy properties to it too. You don't have to peel it, but if you have time and you want to, you can. Moving on to 3 cloves of garlic. And it's best to prepare all of your ingredients in advance because a lot of times, especially when cooking Chinese ingredients, it's a lot of, it happens very quickly, so it's better to just have all your ingredients prepared. I'm just going to use my garlic press, and I'm pressing it in with the ginger because I will be adding it all together. Can't be bothered with putting it into another container because why? Something more to wash. There's 2 shallots here that I'm using, and if you can't find shallots or you don't want to use shallots and you have onion instead, you can just do that. Just use a small onion. And we're just going to mince the shallots. I'm using 5 dried shiitake mushrooms, and you can use fresh shiitake mushrooms, except I find the dried has more flavor. So I'm just using these because this is what I have at home. And I've been soaking these for over an hour, but I would at least an hour. So I'm just going to rinse them and squeeze out some of the liquid and remove the stems before slicing them up. And if you're using fresh shiitake mushrooms, you might want to just double the amount. I'm going to dice them up actually into like small bits. That's the thing about Chinese cooking, eh? So much prep. It does make a difference in your mouth when you bite into something, the textures and how things are chopped up. I'm adding the mushrooms to the shallots because I'm adding it all at the same time. So we'll just put those in there. And I'm going to slice up my giant carrot and half a Savoy cabbage. And if you don't have Savoy cabbage, you can just use a regular green cabbage or even Napa, which I want to say is a Chinese cabbage, but I'm not sure if that's true. But it's called Napa cabbage. I just find that it releases a lot more liquid. And these giant carrots are actually really sweet, so I really like them. But you can use 2 regular sized carrots if you don't have jumbo carrots. And by making dumplings at home, it helps me to avoid the stores on Chinese New Year. It was a couple of days ago, I went into Costco and it was just a zoo. I'm like, I am not doing this. So I'm going to julienne the carrot, but you can just shred it with a grater if you want. I just want a little bit of texture so that the carrot is not melted into everything else. And if this is too much work for you, you can always use a food processor as well. Because right now I'm starting to regret not pulling out the food processor.
You're almost there, girl.
Who knew it was going to be so much work to cut up one carrot? And the Savoy cabbage, we're just going to shred as well. So I'm just going to remove the core and maybe cut this in half. So the carrots and the Savoy cabbage is going in at the same time. I know this looks like a lot, but it will cook down to like nothing. Well, not nothing, but it reduces a lot. This is all we need to get done for right now. Let's get started. We're just going to heat up the wok. And if you don't have a wok, you can do this in a large frying pan or even like a Dutch oven, whatever you have to cook it up. I'm using the wok because there's so many ingredients that I don't want it to overflow out of my frying pan so that it fits everything at once, but it will cook down to almost nothing. So that was about a tablespoon, let's make it two tablespoons of oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, and we're just gonna put our ginger and garlic in first. Stir fry that for about 30 seconds. You don't want it to burn, you just want it to heat it up. The oil seems to have disappeared. So let's just add a little bit more, another tablespoon, and I'm going to add my mushrooms and shallots. Smells so yummy already. You want to cook until the shallots are transparent, and then we're going to add the cabbage and the carrots. So that's all the cabbage and all the ingredients so far. You see why I need to use the wok. I'm going to cook it for about 5 minutes. And it should wilt down quite a bit.
There's a lot of color going on in that wok.
Yeah, the smell is really, really good. I wish you guys could all smell it. Now, it's been about 5 minutes now. I think I'm going to cook it down for a few more minutes. So I do want it to wilt a little bit more. Okay, that was about 8 to 10 minutes. And I'm just going to remove it and put it in a bowl and set it aside. And we need for it to cool down before we can use it. All right, I am not chopping these up by hand. These are water chestnut, and I'm just going to use the whole thing, the whole can. And I'm also going to chop up half a bunch of cilantro and pretty much just the leaves. So I'm just going to remove some of the stems. Just roughly chopped. It doesn't have to be finely chopped. Just trying to make sure there aren't any like giant leaves or stems remaining. We use about half a teaspoon of ground white pepper. The ground white pepper can be quite spicy. It's like a cumulative heat that comes through it, not like a bite like chilies, but it will add a heaty flavor. 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of Shaoxing wine. If you don't have Shaoxing wine, you can use the sherry or, I don't know, what did I say last time? Bourbon. Whiskey. Or omit it altogether. I am also going to add a pinch of salt and a couple of tablespoons of oil. A teaspoon of sugar, the cilantro, and the water chestnut. And then just mix everything up. See, doesn't that look yummy?
It sure does. It smells amazing.
So it is a little bit of work, but it's fairly simple. It's not like, you know, complicated techniques to use. You're just stir frying the ingredients and you're just mixing in a sauce. And then you're just going to fold up your dumplings. These are very different from the pork dumplings I've made, and you can check out that video. I also use Savoy cabbage, I think, in that video, but a lot more ingredients, I think, in this one. I am not making dumpling wrappers, although I do have a friend who taught me once, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so not doing that. They usually come in like a package of 2, like this. You want to cool down your filling so that it's cool enough to handle. It doesn't have to be super cold. I am not a professional dumpling wrapper. A wrapperer. But I'm going to just show you how I do it. They are different from wonton wrappers. Wonton wrappers are much thinner, and dumpling wrappers are a little bit thicker, and they're usually round. Wonton wrappers are usually square. So we're going to fill up this dumpling with about a tablespoon of veggie. We're going to take your finger, wet it with just water all around the edge, and we're going to fold in half, and we're just going to start at one end and pleat it. Just hold it for a second to make sure that it's sealed so that nothing will come out when you cook them. Right, see, not so profesh. And if you don't want to pleat them, you can just seal it all the way around flat. They won't be super pretty, but they will be edible. Okay, a medium-high heat. Use a cast iron or a non-stick frying pan. I've actually had no problems with just using a regular frying pan, but to make sure that your dumplings don't stick, it's best to use a non-stick. And when it's hot, to add a tablespoon of oil. I'm just moving the oil around to make sure that there's an even layer of oil at the bottom. And then we're going to drop our dumplings in. Make sure they're spaced out. I'm going to cook this for 2 minutes. It's whistling.
Thanks for the ASMR.
Okay, I'm going to add about 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of water. I just boiled the water, so it's not cold water. Never put cold water straight into a pan. And then cover, and then turn down the heat to medium-low. And we're going to let that cook for 4 to 5 minutes. All right, moment of truth. They look yummy. So you see, all the water has been used to steam the dumplings, and look at how yummy that is.
Wow, that's like golden brown.
Dude likes the black vinegar for dipping sauce, and this is the brand that I use. It's called Chin Kiang vinegar, and it's got a different flavor than most vinegar. And a little bit of sesame oil. But you can use soy sauce, chili oil,
Whatever you want.
whatever you like. You know, the moment you guys are all waiting for. Are you all ready for?
新年快樂. My mouth was watering the entire time this thing was coming together, especially when you lifted up that first one. Man, how gorgeous that is. This isn't gonna take long, guys, because it's just gonna be good. All right, so we gotta take that little dip in there. Everyone in the sauce. Wow, this is really good. Everything inside is well seasoned, and the wrapper is just the right texture. holds everything together. Got a bit of chew on the wrapper. And then you have the crispy side, which just the mouthfeel, crispy and the soft and the flavors of the veg. Fantastic. You know what? I'm gonna double dip. It was good, dude.
Thanks, dude. I can't wait to dig in. They look so good. And homemade dumplings are really just so much better than the frozen ones that you get in the bag in the freezer aisle. If you don't want to pan fry these, you can also boil them. Just bring a pot of water to boil, drop them in, and when they float, cook them for about 4 to 5 minutes. Turn down the heat a little bit, and yeah, they'll be ready to go. Check out my other Asian recipes over there. See you later. Thanks for watching.